135.10 or 135.30, I take that, deduct it from the current sewer. It can't make an adjustment on water because the water was used. And you and I had the conversation, you could go from 60.50 to 77.55. But what happens the next read on October 1st when you go down to $40.50? You know, so to make the estimates, I don't think ultimately it's going to be more of a hassle. It's more time, and in the end, I think it's all going to work out with the next meter reading. And as I explained, as I explain to anybody, if something is still wrong, we'll make an adjustment. I have that authority through the governing body to do that.
I appreciate your time and effort into it. I think I disagree that it's going to, first of all, I don't know why we put that much time, labor, and effort into it when it could have been done and handled this way. But most importantly is the fact that even though 52 or 54 people, there's also possibly 2,000 people out there who have no idea.
And there are many people that have come in and paid their bill, and because their bill is the same that it normally is, it's within the tiers. And there are many people that have come in and paid, and I hope 2,038 people would have questioned it, because I go through 2,038 bills to look at it for everybody, but that's not the case.
Yeah. Again, I guess I'm really, as a resident, I just don't understand why we have ordinances. We mentioned them before. We have ordinances, and I don't understand why we don't follow them. So I wonder why everybody is sitting up here and creating ordinances, and then other things are being done. And number two, I feel that it's quite fraudulent to send out a bill that says, not only, I think it's fraudulent to send out a bill that you took the time to change the month for the water, but didn't change the time to change the date. And these ordinances, whether it be water, whether it be sewer, it clearly says one thing, it says quarterly. So that's why you have an estimate. And number two, nobody got a robocall. We got calls about brush. We got calls to make sure that that was taken up. But nobody got a robocall. I certainly get them. And I didn't get a robocall that, by the way, the water bills might be a problem, and the sewer bills. Number two, what also caused me to go into this was I tried to become a little bit, I think questioned my bill just in general. Because as Mr. Giovanni and I spoke, the water then, I didn't think the water was an issue until I read our ordinance. And our ordinance indicates that there's fees for our, obviously fees for our water and sewer. The fees enumerated for our water rates are in bands. You pay from zero, there's the first tier, a second tier, a third tier, a fourth tier. There is language in our ordinance that says in the third tier, you pay $77.55 for, for water from 3,741 gallons to 7,481 gallons. Then you get to the third tier. That says water from 7,482 gallons to 26,182 gallons. And then it states that cost is $77.55 plus $3.79 per gallons over, with an asterisk. What appeared on our website was just that. However, the remaining portion of that ordinance says for each extra 784 gallons over 7,481. Which then when I looked at my bill and I figured out my water cost, I think the bill is incorrect in comparison to what the ordinance reads. We are being charged per gallon for those tiers, when in effect the language states that we are supposed to be charged for each extra 784 gallons. In other words, the way they, in plain English, this says until we hit 784 gallons, that's when you're charged. And then when you hit the next 784 gallons, that's when you're charged. That's how these read. I don't know why we're being charged per gallon. This is not apportioned.
Per gallon over the 26,000 and change?
Correct. The language of this ordinance clearly states for each extra 784 gallons. And by the way, as far as I could find back to 2006, which I have, it still says that. So I don't understand that, and I don't know if you're hearing this for the first time. You may say to yourself, well, shouldn't you pay for every gallon? Because that's what I thought when I did the addition. However, that's not true, because if I have a water meter and I use if I use 0 gallons, my water meter costs me $60.50. If I used 3,739 more gallons, 3,740, that's free. Those are free. Same in the second tier, right? In the second tier, you're basically charged a base rate of $77.55. You pay $77.55, whether you have 3,741 gallons that you used, you then get the remaining 3,741 gallons used for free. And that's how this is reading. I don't understand, I feel like maybe when we talked about this, when we talked about the software, did somebody not put the language of the ordinance into our software that is computing these bills? Because what's lacking here is it's clearly trying to band us in 25 equal bands across the way, but that's not how our bills are charged. And then I went back to 2009, and guess what? That's not how our bills are charged either. But all these ordinances read this specific way. So I'm trying to understand.
Well, I don't have an answer for you right now because I haven't looked at those calculations. But if you recall last meeting, maybe it was 2 meetings ago, I talked about our auditor doing a rate study and said that we should probably do a rate study because, like I said, this meeting, our water sewer budget is very tight. And I will call Mr. Allison tomorrow and ask him to take a look at those bands, those tiers versus the ordinance. But I don't have an answer.
Well, I'm not sure, well, I mean, I think anybody can, but I don't know why an auditor would need to see the bands versus what's in the ordinance. This is our law. This is what we need to follow. You're kind of referring to future, and I'm sure in the future we can charge per gallon if we choose so choose.
No, this has been reviewed, since I've been here, the rates have been reviewed maybe 3 times, and the bands have the tiers have also been reviewed.
They changed, I know all the amendments, they were done in 2006, 2008, 2010, and 2011. There was one band that changed at one point in time. Our water rates, however, have actually not. The one change that was really made, our rates have changed, and I went back and I judged the 2009 bill and the 2000, I think I looked at the 2011, based on the rates that were applied at that time. So I was able to look at all that. What I guess I'm trying to say is I need somebody to tell me why we're being charged when we have bands. We're basically getting a charge per gallon. That's clearly not how we're supposed to be charged.
Can you pull your personal bills from 2009?
I did.
Good records.
I didn't say I had all of them. I just had mine.
What was the reason, if we have an ordinance that's in place from the past, on what the mechanism is for handling charges if we miss a reading? How do we arrive at doing something different, or did we do it differently? Just tell me what we did.
Sure, I explained it before. If you give an estimated bill now, when the next read comes out for 60 days, you're gonna have to give another read, another final read. That number could be as high or higher than what the bill went out. So again, when I looked at the numbers and the sewer charges, the water charges, put them into the next category, I made the adjustment, looked in their files, which go back to 06, I think, and looked and said, well, you know, their average is 174.90, 174.90, 155.10, and I went to what their sewer number was and readjusted the sewer. The water charges stayed the same because the water was used.
So
That's
So in essence,
Just freestyle.
rather than do this twice, we do it once.
correct.
Okay, so do we need to change the ordinance?
I don't believe so, no. I do want to look at the tiers, though. I understand what she's saying, but I have to look at that. And, you know, listen, I'm not the chief financial officer, so our CFO, I'm much more comfortable with Mr. Allison looking at it and doing an evaluation for us.
I'm just gonna say, I hear what you're saying, Ms. Chubney, regarding looking through it, and you went back and you changed mine.
Right.
However, had I not come in, that wouldn't have been the case. That's not how we should have rectified this. And an estimation, here's the problem, the estimation, sure, we would have had to do some work, but we would have had valid numbers. Because when we did it, we wouldn't have had the labor go out, we wouldn't have had the labor go out and do it twice. We wouldn't have had, do it twice, we wouldn't have fraudulent bills. The bottom line is, we as a town sent 2,038 bills out that were fraudulent. In some cases, because, well, first of all cases they were fraudulent, and here's why.
Absolutely not.
Because
My
they had
bill
the
was
date of
perfect.
6/30/2019. They didn't have the date of 7/31/2019.
My bill was
They
right
were
on to
for
what I've always
forward.
paid, and many people sitting up here would say the same thing.
The
Their
date
bill was set.
not correct. So if they may have been monetarily correct, but I just want you to know that representative-wise, those bills went out from our water and sewer department, and they stated that they were from the period of 4/1 through 6/30. They were revised monetarily with July, but no one changed the date. How did that get over?
And I know Mr. Hubeney's addressing the date issue on the next bill, because we had a conversation and he did bring that, he did say that that will be stated as 2 months on the next bill.
I understand that too,
No,
yeah.
I understand, I'm just saying I understand, I hear clearly what you're saying,
Mhm.
and I know that that's proactively for the next, doesn't
It's the
fix the
next.
past, does not fix the past.
I'm again bothered by the time that it took. We found out that this was the problem, and it doesn't seem to me that anybody went to the ordinances that we have already written down. And I'm not sure why that decision was being made, who would be responsible for that decision, but we have a whole lot of ordinances. I was able to find it in moments. And again, I wanna know why everybody's being charged differently for the 748 gallons. Does it make a big difference? It makes at most, it makes a $3.78 difference, or a $4.54 difference each quarter for people's water. But over the period of all these years, some of my calculations, even taking half the town as being overcharged, were in the $100,000 range. So, that's all I have to say. If anybody wants, I do have copies of the ordinance and any of the rate structures that you'd like to say, if you'd like to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Huben,
Yes.
have Mr. Allison take a look at that. That
Sure will.
exactly what she's saying, and let's see what we come up with.
Is there anyone else? Oh, gosh, lots of hands up. Yes, Ms. Kennedy?
Shelley Kennedy, 104 East Highland. Thank you for bringing that up, because this is what I wanted to talk about as well. And I also appreciate your having the ordinance in front of you and being able to speak to it. Because I had the same question, is upon looking at it and realizing we had an ordinance that said that an estimated bill should go out, that wasn't how this was handled. And it's okay for people to make a mistake, but you really need to be aware of the optics in the town around this. Everybody had to look at their bill who knew about it. Now, there are people who didn't know about it, who got the bill and said, gee, my water bill's awfully high, and they didn't think about it and paid it. My concern is that some of these folks, and maybe you addressed this, Adam, but I'm not sure, I didn't quite understand everything you were saying, is that, and I looked at my bill, I looked at my prior bills for prior years, and I figured out what tier I'd been in for those months before and after. And the water bill, my water bill was higher, I could tell that it was higher, but it didn't throw me into a different tier. So I was one of the lucky ones. But for those people who do get thrown into a different tier, they're going to get billed at a higher rate for water, so that even the next month, it's not going to necessarily correct to what it should have been. And I'm concerned that people in the town who aren't aware of the problem may be getting billed more than they should, and it won't auto-correct for them, and there's no way for the system to know that's the case. How are you planning to handle that?
So the next read will have less gallons of water, and our sewer rates are always based on the gallons of water. So with less gallons of water, the sewer rate might put a 174.90 person maybe into a 155.10 or a 135.30. I don't know until the reads are done and it's put in the database. I don't know the answer to that yet. That's why I say I don't want to assume that it's going to be. I just don't know
But it may
yet.
not be. I mean, maybe somebody
Yeah.
added, put in a sprinkler system or something, and their bill's going to be a little bit more this period.
Sure, I don't know
So
who
we're
has a
going to
pool, who
adjust.
doesn't have a second meter, I don't know all those answers.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna go back to what my neighbor said and say that it's a little bit surprising that the ordinance wasn't followed in this case. It would have made things, it seems a little bit easier. And perhaps this happened in the past, which is why we had the ordinance to address it in the first place. So, I would like for the council to think about how to help people who may have been thrown into a higher tier, and then in the next bill, we won't know until the next bills come out, it's still not the correct rate for them. Because these are people who didn't do anything wrong, they just used water, through no fault of their own, they're getting billed incorrectly, and they may or may not know about it. And I don't think it's right that we let that happen. And I think at this point, the town is obligated to go back and make sure we're correcting for every potential error when that comes out after the next reading. So that's what I wanted to say. Thanks.
Adam, I'm trying to figure out a way to correct this for the future. Is there a way to notify, to send something out to just notify the public, just to say, take a second look at your bill there?
Robocall.
Whether it's a robocall.
Well, no. So the robocall, that has been set up here unless the governing body wants to change the policy. It's been set up for public safety. Because we all know what robocalls are at night, and we all know, I see a lot of head shaking yes, we know that we don't pick up those robocalls. Although, when it comes up 291, 1212, or 1444, you know it's Borough Hall. We agreed many years ago under Mayor Rass that it would be used for public safety. Now, one could argue, well, we get a robocall about brush. That's because when the brush washes down the road and blocks the storm drain, and now it floods and it washes somebody's property out, that's public health and safety. That could be the water comes down and goes around the brush that's on the side of the road. Somebody goes through with hydroplanes and crashes. If this governing body wants to send robocalls out about a reminder, I'm not being facetious, about the fireworks and the parade and water bills, and if you want to change the policy, I'd be more than happy to do that. That's very easy. And the chief is, chief's I guess left, the chief has made it very easy with emails and text messages. I have no problem with that. But, we have a lot of stuff on our website. I know we don't do Facebook or tweet and, I'm not on Facebook. I don't want to be on Facebook. Because that's all somebody has to do is pick up the phone and call Borough Hall, and they're going to get the right answer. Not the guessing answer, or a potential answer, or the wrong answer. And our website carries a lot of information. I think the letter that was posted was pretty well explanatory.
Just wait, sorry.
Could I just say something, please? Some of your conversations are getting really very loud and you're making it rather difficult, so please show the courtesy to not be talking while someone's trying to make their point. Thank you.
Just on that point though, because Mr. Deloso did report at the top of our meeting about using the text message system, so do you want to reiterate what?
Sure. With the robocalls, if you call the Borough Hall, if you go on the site, put your cell phone in, you'll get a text. Put your email in, you'll get an email about it.
Yeah, don't call Borough Hall for it. You have to go on the website and sign up. There's nothing Borough Hall can do for you.
But I would really like to entertain a conversation about reviewing whether or not we look at what else we use that tool for. Since we have the potential of using it for text messaging and emailing also, and maybe there's probably other steps to look in, what people can opt in or opt out for only,
What mic number are you on?
I would second that, Lori, I think it's a great idea.
just to review, people can say that they just want safety or, health issues or.
No, you can't, I'm sorry, with all due respect, you can't do that. It's a
We don't know.
robocall out.
We don't know if there's additional capability.
I do.
In our current system, we can't do
Because
that.
I'm one of the
In
administrators.
our current system, we can't